The stories we will hear today come from the land of the Gunakurnai and Bunurong people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to a special series on Over a Glass in collaboration with South Gippsland. In 8 conversations, we celebrate the people that have chosen to call Gippsland home and hear why it is like no other place on earth.
The biggest reward is when a sommelier recognises that effort and they list your wines and tell your story tableside, passing on that message of clean farming to the customer.
This is Over a Glass. I'm Shanteh Wale. In today's episode, we are meandering down to South Gippsland, to a special place made even more incredible by the people that inhabit it. The wine farm is home to the Hawkins family, Neil and his wife Anna and their children, who have turned their place into a farm of wonder. Hi Neil, thanks for joining me.
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. I fell in love with you and your family and your place when I visited. It is a remarkable spot that does feel quite magical. You're a bit of a world traveller, so why did you fall for South Gippsland?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm quite a practical guy, so the way that I did this with Anna is that, with my accent, excuse me, I'm South African, and I moved here in 2009 after I met Anna in South Africa. But she lived in Sydney, and so that was my first port of call when I arrived here. But I'd always made wine in South Africa for 10 years before I met Anna. And then it was a matter of, okay, the big smoke is cool, and it's been great for 2 years while I was studying. Let's get out of here and see if we can find a place that sort of ticks all the new boxes that I'd formed in my head about the kind of wines we wanted to make, the kind of life we wanted to live. So it's pretty much look at the map, and we had a few criteria, which were we need water, it needs to be cool enough to have really acid-focused wines that are long-lived, and we have some sort of hedge against global warming and climate change into the future. So in 2010, I was like, well, it's a big hot country, go down south. It's got to be the place. So we had a look and said, let's pop down to the southernmost point of mainland Australia, and got in our car and drove with our little schnauzer that is 1 year old, and and here we are. We came over the hills of the Strzelecki, and just really we were in awe of the beauty. Now the thing about South Gippsland is, well, Gippsland's really big, right? And it does vary from east to west, north to south. The thing that really struck us about South is its gentle beauty. It has a real sort of soft feel to it. It doesn't have that harsh, arid, dry feel to a place like a lot of Australia is, which has its own beauty in its own right. But the thing that drew us here was just the gentleness of it. And you still have the landscape with the big old eucalyptus trees, but it's the green rolling hills that really drew us in. And that's kind of what hooked us and ultimately resulted in us moving down here in 2011 permanently.
I mean, you certainly picked the right spot. Your intuition was spot on. Tell me a little bit about what the farm looked like when you purchased it and what it looks like today.
Yeah, so, the farm, it was an established vineyard that we purchased in 2014. Luckily, when no one else wanted to purchase anything that looked like a vineyard in 2014. So for our madness, we did okay, which was really lucky. It was very small. It still is small at 8 acres. And it was planted with 7 different varieties, and over the last, bit of years, we grafted it over to cultivars that we felt best suited to this place. We got rid of Cabernet Sauvignon, we got rid of Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Gris and Gewürztraminer. So now we do Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, a little bit of Riesling. Riesling's dry Riesling down here. I just love it, and that's it.
It is a beautiful spot for a family life. Tell me about your children and what kind of childhood do they have growing up in the wild places of Gippsland in the south?
Well, they are bound by the boundaries of the farm, so they do kind of, they are like normal kids, that they enjoy. In today's kids, there's still going to be sort of a drive for the trapments of technology and computers and screen, So there's always that, like every other family, there's that constant sort of balance between allowing the kids to explore technology as well as explore the risks of free play outside on the farm, axing wood or whittling wood or kind of, just cruising around, trying to find their way on the farm. I mean, it's not a big place, Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because, it sometimes does feel like, a beautiful farm life, kids be, picking up eggs and doing that, and it's just so easy, and there is no screen time, and everything's holistic. But I'm glad to hear that you guys are human and you have the same challenges as us.
Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine if they were picking up eggs all the time? They'd want to leave the farm when they were 18 and never come back. So we try not to push them too hard, It must be a place that comes naturally, thing that comes naturally to them, not something that is forced on them.
I think that's wonderful. And like you said, that it sounds like a recipe for success for the long term. Tell me a little bit about kind of the soil profile and the vineyards that you have and what makes those places special for growing grapes.
Yeah. So, we have two farms, right? This one where we live, which is the one in 2014 that was established, and it's got this really cool, unique soil where it's a convergence of two soil types. So our other farm is 1 kilometer away to the west, and that is red volcanic soil with bluestone and coffee rock through it. And that's strip of soil comes all the way to where we live here, the original farm, and it's mixed up with the, they call it the Counoir gravel, which is a quartzy soil to the other side of the farm. And it's a convergence of these two soils here at the wine farm. And so the top layer is this black humus layer with quartz all the way through it, tiny flecks of it. And then underneath that is flecks of like coffee rock through it, but there's orangey, reddy clay in the profile. So it's a cool little mix, and it's pretty much just here on the wine farm. On our neighboring property, it goes to this sort of white clay that is impenetrable below 40, 50 centimeters. So, the wines here at home are they've always got this sort of like this acid, this tension to them, this mineral tension to them, with this sort of drive through the mid palate. On the farm to the west, 1 kilometer away on the red soil, we're going to pick those grapes in 2025 for the first time. So we'll see how those look different to the ones here at home.
And in terms of, doing a new venture and having a new vineyard, what's the community like? You are, off the beaten track a little bit. Do you have a lot of interaction, with other estates and other farms in the area?
We do. We're all friends together down here in the south. We we will sort of like phone up each other for maybe some sort of who do you get this from or that from. But mostly, you know, you have your own little suppliers of tradies who will come in and kind of like dig holes for you and to be able to put pipes or push a dam out or, you know, build a road or something like that. So there is we've tapped into an awesome little network of people, and, you know, these guys, I love these guys. They're just so honest, and, you know, 4:00 is stubby time, and nothing comes between you and that 4:00 beer. And it's just a nice existence.
I think it's nice that people have their priorities, and I'm sure everything flows better when they've had their stubby and they've got something to look forward to at the end of the day.
That's right. Yeah. That's how we get them back the next day.
Yes, exactly. Tell me about what do you think, you know, stands out about kind of the fruit that is grown in South Gippsland. If you were pushed to buy wines from all over Australia, why would you choose wines from South Gippsland?
So in the reds, there's this underlying sort of earthy, tertiary kind of there's a darkness to the Pinots from the south, and my suspicion is it's the high iron content that we have down here. The wines, you know, you compare them to, let's say, the Mornington, which is on a very similar line of latitude. They're a lot more sort of fruitier, lighter nosed wines on the peninsula. And here they've just got this sort of another sort of deeper depth, I don't know how to, a darkness to them. That's the difference, you know, and the tannin profile of the Pinot, you know, when destemmed and left for longer on the skins after the ferment, there's just this sort of tannin grip that is, it just grips in more than say other regions where there might be a little bit more sun, where the tannin profile is a bit fruitier and lighter. So that's the difference with the Pinot. And on the whites, you know, the Chardonnay and Riesling, from my experience, they've just got this natural acid drive to the wines. There's a purity of fruit across red and white that, you know, coming from South Africa, you've got these grapes that they were lovely too, but sometimes you'd find that they would ripen a little bit too quick, and you'd get this sort of imbalance between this sort of ripeness and alcohol. You'd feel this sort of slight hotness on the palate versus the depth of fruit and flavor. And here, because of the slow ripening, because we're so far south, you've got this fruit intensity that is very long on the mouth, and the wines last a very long time in the bottle when aged.
That's for sure. I do agree with you on that point. I think both reds and whites tend to have this extra bit of longevity, and you know, they kind of drink beautiful on release, but they are worthwhile holding on to kind of watch them change and grow. I want to talk a little bit about biodynamics and you know, the difficulties of doing that, but why you think it is successful in this place that you're in.
Well, biodynamics can be very successful down here in this region, mainly due to one thing, and it rains a lot. So when it rains a lot, there's going to be a lot of, you know, keeps the soils a lot, they don't cool off as much. Water changes temperature very slowly. The opposite of that would be sand. Quite hard to do biodynamics in sand, not impossible. I have seen it occur where they've created soil in sand. It's gone black after 2 years using the Demeter biodynamic method. This was actually down in the Mornington. So high rainfall and a lot of sand. Amazing to see that happen. But when you've got sort of soil with clay and structure in it, and you overlay that with spraying out your bacteria 500 once a year, coupled with the amount of rain you get, you're just boosting the inoculum in the soil and allowing you to create more soil more often and a little bit more quicker. So that is why this region is extremely well suited to it. With that said, it would be great to see more people doing it. I think the hard thing is that the BD is actually the easy part, but you have to get the organics right first. So to be biodynamic, you have to be organic by default. And then and the biggest part of being organic in a vineyard, the hardest part is how do you control the weeds under the vine? Once you have solved that problem, the BD is easy. It takes no time, it's cheap, and it's not hard to do. And it's not rocket science either.
I do feel like it's a little bit of manual labor, though.
No, it's easy, seriously. There's this method developed by Alex Podlinski here in Australia because of the high labor costs and constraints in this country. So I have a manual stirrer, a machine stirrer. Sorry, not a manual one, a machine stirrer. And I have a spray out cart. It takes me 1 hour to spray 7 acres and 1 hour to stir. And I'm not sweating. It's easy. The harder, yeah.
Doesn't sound much like Australian viticulture at all, and not sweating and easy.
No, that's the easy part. The BD is the easy part. The hard part is everything else.
You do have, when you talked about the gentleness of the rolling hills, I thought that is very suitable for you because you have this relaxed nature about yourself, this calming, peaceful tranquility about your personality that when you meet you, I think, and spend time with you, you really put people at ease. And so I think you've chosen your landscape perfectly because, you have a special place that think says a lot about the way that you and Anna like to live and your philosophies. What makes all the hard work, maybe not the biodynamic, but all the other parts of your job, what makes it all worthwhile at the end of the day?
The biggest reward for me, I think, is when you go to all the efforts of, not using any systemics and wearing the losses that you sometimes get from that in the vineyard. And all the, in the early years, before I got a machine to deal with the undervine management of the grass, hours and hours of brush cutting. I do like 72 kilometers a year with a brush cutter strapped to me. It was insane. And now that's hard work, okay? But the biggest reward is when a sommelier and a great restaurant or good restaurant recognizes that effort and they list your wines and tell your story tableside, passing on that message of clean farming to the customer and maybe striking some light bulbs maybe they switch on. That's the reward for me is the restaurant recognition.
Yeah. Well, I certainly know quite a few sommeliers in this country that are thrilled to tell your story. They are beautiful wines. They have been from day dot. They continue to evolve and change, and they just are unlike other wines in the world. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Thank you for telling your story. And I can't wait till the next time I'm back down on your farm.
Yeah, I look forward to having you again.
Cheers to you, Neil.
See you. Bye.
The vast land of Gippsland has everything you could ever want in your glass. And yet the diverse municipalities have their own identity and culture. It's a wondrous land you just have to taste and see to believe. But be warned, you might never want to leave. Visit winegippsland.com to find out more. This is Over a Glass. I'm Shanteh Wale.